Welcome to PBL2 Unlearning and Relearning by Kailey Curtis, Sandra Ponte, Janelle Francis, and John Philpott.
Canadian Equity Consulting 2021 states that often individuals with invisible disabilities find ways to mask them, which can cause negative impacts on their health and well-being. Individuals may choose not to share their disability at work in fear of being seen as having a deficit.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I work at ABC & Co. I have dyslexia, which my supervisor is aware of, but my colleagues are not. My colleagues have begun to ask why I get extra time to complete my tasks, and why are they allotted a separate space to work. One of my colleagues has previously made comments about my spelling errors, or why I have to read instructions several times. These comments are hurtful, and I debate on revealing my dyslexia to my colleagues. I've been hiding my disability, and it is starting to cause a lot of stress and anxiety. Analysis questions. Should Sarah have to divulge information to her colleagues about her invisible disabilities? What assumptions are being made about Sarah, and how does it affect them? How should this be addressed?
So, what does the research say? Invisible disabilities are, quote, disabilities that don't manifest in ways that are immediately obvious to others, end quote, by Feeder 2022.
Statistics show there is still much work to be done to accommodate individuals with diverse abilities in the workplace. By not providing individuals with what they need to succeed, it negatively, quote, affects their employment opportunities, sense of identity, and obviously their financial prospects, end quote, Velasco 2018. Fetter 2022 explains that approximately 10% of Americans have an invisible disability, possibly more, as many do not disclose this information. Some misconceptions or myths are that invisible disabilities are not real, or they do not fit into the preconceived beliefs of what a person with a disability looks or acts like. Individuals who Fetter describes as looking young or looking healthy are often accused of taking advantage of the system.
The following are some of our solutions. Number 1, necessary for one, good for all.
Employers can support employees with disabilities by providing them with what they need to be successful at work. Bush 2021 mentions the trademark term for all as a way to create a work environment that celebrates everyone's unique talents by taking the individual needs of all employees into account. Universal design is meant to, quote, simplify life for everyone by making products, communications, and the physical environment more usable by as many people as possible at little or no extra cost. Universal design benefits people of all ages and abilities, end quote. Center for Disease Control and Prevention 2020.
Solution 2. Removing barriers and unlearning.
Negative stereotypes about certain people based on ableism is discrimination. People with disabilities face barriers others may not even realize. In order to receive formal accommodations, an individual must often formally disclose their disability to their employer. However, this disclosure is a personal choice, but one that may be considered carefully by the individual. Even without formal accommodations, there are ways that employers can support their employee with these invisible disabilities through providing alternative ways to communicate, changing the conversations, and reducing the stigma. By demonstrating support for those with invisible disabilities, by speaking about diversity from a strength based perspective, and supporting different causes that focus on the inclusion of all persons, creates an environment willing to change and relearn accessible ways of doing things.
The more open an organization is about disabilities, with management that demonstrates a willingness to unlearn and be vulnerable, the more likely those with invisible disabilities will feel supported. Inclusologist DC talks about the social model as being proactive and doing an audit of your own workspace to see what is disabling. Ask new hires what they need to set up their space and take the time to think about how to be inclusive to all employees. Fullering suggests that when referring to people with disabilities, we should address condescending language, be factual, and respect the individual's language preferences. Makajek notes that many of our assumptions about disability are based on past experiences, which leads to unconscious bias. Becoming more inclusive, we need to unlearn or interrupt our mindsets regarding our perceptions about disabilities.
Solution 3, creating inclusive environments. It is important to design environments that unlock a dyslexic's full potential. When sending out communication, try to use colored paper, a larger font, and when possible, audio files. Assistive technologies such as dictation, a smart pen, or mind mapping software can help them organize information. The International Dyslexia Association, or IDA, states that because dyslexia affects the brain's ability to process information, it is important that communications be kept brief, to the point, and given in advance. Dyslexia is not just a learning disability, but a neurological condition. According to the IDA, it can have harmful emotional effects that can lead to poor self confidence or depression. Providing a calming space or coping skills can help boost assertiveness and reduce anxiety. Lastly, Schmidt recommends that employers work closely with human resources to ensure that accommodations are being fulfilled and that the policy is adhered to or changed to support employees with invisible disabilities.
Solution 4. Inclusive employers.
Inclusive leaders are strong advocates of equity, diversity, and inclusion and embed it within their organizations. One way to do this is leaders sharing their personal struggles, like in the story written by Ho 2019 of a Microsoft software engineer sharing her struggle with dyslexia so others knew they were not alone. Leaders in the workplace are responsible for making all members of the team feel they are supported. Burke and Titus state that when there are inclusive leaders, employees take less time off, their quality of work increases, and they are more engaged.
Pause for a moment to read this tweet from Camino and the response from Sarkar, the software engineer Ho wrote about. Note that she's guessing the context of the original tweet, as this is how long texts always look to her.
Synthesis questions. Do the terms fair and equal mean the same thing? How do personal assumptions about disabilities affect the workplace?
This is a dyslexic-friendly graphic. They've used color background as Head Start notes that white backgrounds can make it difficult for dyslexic people to read. They've also used what Rello and Beza Yates calls dyslexic-friendly fonts, such as Arial, Helvetica, and Verdana. We've also used these tools in our videos to ensure that it was dyslexic-friendly. Thanks for watching. For more information, please review our references.